Good morning. There's the routine. Today I want to talk about social anxiety. I want to try and give the best description I can to help people understand it who aren't going through it. Just to help people who are going through it, because when people say things like you talk too much sarcastically or you're so quiet, it'll affect someone. And when they try to make suggestions to help someone who's like that, who's socially anxious, by saying things like, why don't you just try talking about this or try talking about that, I want to help those people trying to help people with social anxiety understand what it is they're going through and why advice like that wouldn't really help and could actually just make it worse for the person who's struggling. So the way I would describe social anxiety, the way I found out I had it was I would Google search, "I can't be myself." It's almost as if there's a part of my brain which accesses my personality that gets blocked off when I'm in a social situation. So my personality goes out the window and I can't be myself around other people. I know who I am. When I'm alone, I know my personality. I know there's humor that I have and wit, but that all goes away when I'm in front of someone. At least that's how it used to be for me. And I'm sure how it is for so many people with social anxiety. There's just a part of your brain that you can't access. So to say things like just, I don't know, try saying this or try saying that, it wouldn't help. It would just give them, like if they had prepared a sentence or multiple topics to bring up when awkward silences come up, the most they would do is mention those things and then there would be awkward silence after that because that's all they have access to. They don't have access to who they are as a person. I never had access to who I was as a person. I could never share who I was with someone else. I was just there on autopilot. And the second I would walk away from that encounter, turn the corner, I'd think like, oh shit, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? And I couldn't. I couldn't do it. No matter how many times, every single day I would try. And I could never access that part of myself. And I've done so many things over the years to work on overcoming anything that might be holding me back. Like if there's any sort of nerves or lack of confidence, I would sing in public, say stupid things and tell people to think I'm weird. I'd want people to think that I was weird so that I could learn to be okay with that, so that I wouldn't have any sort of discomfort, so there wouldn't be anything holding me back. And that still didn't do anything because it didn't change the fact that that part of my brain could not be accessed when I was around other people. That part of me, for whatever reason, I could not share with others. And I've had to deal with a lot of self-esteem issues too, and feelings of inadequacy, feelings of inferiority. But I don't think that was the cause of my silence. I think my silence was the cause of that. I just felt so incapable that led to feelings of feeling like I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't capable of doing things. And I don't think that was the cause, because I've worked on that and I've learned to love myself. And that wasn't what changed it for me. What was the difference maker was that I learned how to share at least one aspect of myself, my honest self, my real self, and that was my struggle. I was able to connect with people, and this is how my first friendships formed. I had never had friends until the last 2 years. I'm 27 years old, and what led to friendships finally, and what led to me finally being able to connect with people was sharing who I was by sharing my struggle. I couldn't share my humor, I couldn't share my wit, I couldn't share any sort of personality trait that I admired of myself. I couldn't accept the struggle. I could share that I couldn't share. I could talk about not being able to talk. And when I started to do that, I started to have a connection with other people. So if you are struggling with social anxiety, that's the way. It's the way to connect with people, the way to overcome it is to be honest, be open about your inability to connect with people. It's, I don't know if it's paradoxical or if it's oxymoron. I don't know. It's like it's a weird thing that the only way to connect with people is just tell them that you can't connect. The only way to talk with people is to tell them that you aren't able to talk. But it works. I was able to form amazing friendships. Not just friendships, but the most amazing friendships from doing that. And while I still haven't overcome everything, there's still those parts of myself that I'm not able to share with others yet. This brought me leaps ahead of where I was, and I'm always going to be confident that I can get to where I want to get to, where I am able to share who I am completely with other people. Doing those other exercises like singing in public to overcome those sort of barriers, because yeah, maybe we still do have those barriers too, but everyone kind of does, of just not wanting to look stupid in front of people, not wanting to screw up or make mistakes. It's still great to learn to not care about that, to just have that sort of freedom. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share, was that telling someone who's quiet, like me, with social anxiety, to just talk wouldn't help them. But if you do want to help someone who does have social anxiety, maybe share this. Maybe share, I'm not saying share this video, but share what I'm saying. Share that if they're struggling to share who they are with other people, encourage them to share their struggle. Encourage them to share that part of themselves. It's so freeing, especially when you do that and you're not met with judgment anymore. When you don't do that, when you're quiet all the time, you're always met with so much judgment, and that brings your self-esteem down so much, and it makes you feel even more worthless, and now you're not just incapable, but you're ashamed. So by encouraging them to share their struggle and then having them be met with support, the right kind of support, that kind of support, not the support of being like, oh, talk more, you're so quiet. I'm just being like, you can't talk, you can't access that part of yourself. Okay, but do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about how you feel about not being able to talk about things? Do you want to share your struggle? That's, I think, the best way to kind of bring support to someone who is struggling with social anxiety. And yeah, maybe that's why some people who do take pills that help them with social anxiety, maybe it has something to do with that part of their brain. I don't know if it's actually a part of the brain that has access to your personality, but maybe that has something to do with it, where you're not able to access that part of your brain when you're in a social situation, but maybe medication can help you to. And I'm not saying that I know exactly what causes social anxiety or if this is how it works, but from my experience, this is how I felt it is. It's the best way I can describe it. It's at least what I'm going through. And if what I'm going through is not social anxiety, then whatever I'm going through, if it's not that, if it's something else, but you know someone who's kind of maybe doing the same thing or feeling the same way, my advice stays the same. Thank you for joining me for this miracle morning, and see you at the next one.